Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. That was Bobby Caldwell, What You Gonna Do for Love. Some late night vibing for you all tonight to get you in that good love energy. Wasn't that a good throwback?
Ooh, I was two-stepping over here, everything.
Yes. That's that old school, that vibe that gets you right where you need to be. And we are talking about my co-host and I, Mr. Sapiosexual, and I'm Miss Buttafly. Tonight on Mental Intercourse, we are talking about love. And we are trying to get a very clear understanding about what love is, what it ain't, what it do, what it don't do. And my co-host has something else that was on your mind. You mentioned over the break that you wanted to talk about marriage. Ooh. Talk to me about marriage.
Walking down the aisle, the big day, marriage, ceremonies, traditions, the love, the honeymoon. It's a big production. We love the marriage thing, the concept and the idea of it. Now, the thing about what I've learned over the years, and I myself, I was married before myself. I was like 20 years old at the time when I got married, and we were together for like 5 years. It might have been good for, it might have been good for about 18 months, but I stayed in it anyway. Because I was going to show my parents and my aunts and all them who got divorced, I was going to show them they were doing it wrong. I was going to show y'all how they were supposed to do this thing, because I saw the movies. I know how it works. I know what it happens. I know how this works. Y'all were doing it wrong. So when I got married at the old age of 20 years old, I say, this is going to be it for life. I'm never doing this again. It's a one-time deal, and watch me work it. So coming into a marriage with this thought process, this ignorance of life, coming into that, I hung around for 3.5 years longer, way after it was dead. I was in there for 3.5 years long. It was dead a long time ago, but I had the core belief of what a marriage was, how it was supposed to work, and what I needed to do. What I needed to do. I didn't say what we needed to do. What I needed to do in order to make that happen. And then it came to a point where I had to say, okay, it's a wrap. It's done. All right, cool. That's what's up. And the thing with marriage is, we have a misconception of what this really means, especially here in the Western world, in the North America, about what marriage really is. And most of the time when we get this marriage certificate, we think that solidifies. We tell ourselves that solidifies that I love you. And I kind of have to scratch my head. What were you doing before that? Weren't you loving them before that? You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, damn, how does that solidify what was natural? Does contract, and that's all a marriage certificate is. It's just a contract. It's a third-party contract with the state. That's all it is. That's why you have to get a lawyer and go to court to get divorced. Because why? You're trying to break a contract with the third party, which is the state. And when you come together as a marriage, you're looking at two corporations merging. That's all it really is. That's why you can get a bigger tax break when you come together, because you can have two corporations merging together. So when you're trying to break this contract, because remember, you didn't have to go get a lawyer to go get married. You can sign it free will. You see what I'm saying? So we get caught up into to that energy. Now let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
When we first met, and we were all lovey-dovey, open the door for you, and we would just stop in the middle of the street or we're in the middle of downtown. We'll just start kissing. We didn't care who was around or anything. On the phone, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. You hang up first. No, I ain't hang up. All that little goofy, silly stuff we did for years. We was in a relationship, and we were sitting at work, and she's thinking about me, and all of a sudden, her girlfriend like, why are you smiling? What the? That's that love. That's that natural. It's automatic. It's a connection. It's an infatuation. Everybody has experienced that. And then what we do is, once we get that, the first thing we start doing is like we want to get serious. But love is automatically serious. What are you getting serious about? What else is there to get serious? And this is where the dynamic starts begin to change. Because when we're saying we need to get serious, that is just code word for marriage. And so when we getting serious, now the spontaneous things that you were doing and how you were feeling, that automatic flow with the universe, that automatic, it's just, you didn't have to think about it. It was your nature. It wasn't even second nature. It was your nature. Right. So when we talk about getting serious and we start discussing marriage, now when we start discussing that, now we're entering into a terminology. We're entering into an energy field that contradicts what is prior to going on, because now we're entering into a business. So, and the reason I say there's a business, well, how is marriage a business? Well, we already discussed that. That is a contract. And also, when you talk about that being a contract, that's business. Okay. Now, it's got to be more than that, right? Of course. It is that. Now, there comes this big production that we call a wedding. And what does the wedding does? It costs money. And while the bride and her families are spending all this money, tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars on this grand production, the man is over there shopping for a ring that's maybe about 6 months' salary to get this, because this ring is it symbolizes my love. Once again, all that stuff we were doing before, I don't know why that wasn't the biggest symbol. You know what I'm saying? That was love. Now we're getting into an artificial insemination of what love is. Now the switch comes over from a natural love into an artificial type love. Because now everything we're dealing with another energy. We're not dealing with our natural energy. We're dealing with money now. We're dealing with economics and finances, which also puts a strain. It can be a strain on that, because we're thinking about, man, I just spent like $20,000 on this wedding. That could have started a business. That could have bought a home. You know what I'm saying? That could have did so many. That could have been a nice little nest egg, or it could have even invest. We could have invested in IRAs for our retirement at the day we got married. But of course, the society and traditions like that. And then after you spend all that money on the ring and then all these rehearsals and getting everybody together to come together for this, then once you do that, you got to turn around and spend money on a honeymoon. Where's the love in that? I see the debt in that. You see what I'm saying? And it's like most people were happier before all of this happened, because what happened is we've given up what is natural, and then we traded it in for something that is artificial, which we have been programmed to say that this is what you should be doing in order to prove this. And all we're doing is making everybody else wealthy, and then you're just getting locked in. So what the marriage thing is, we have this false concept, just like we do with love, and we equivalate marriage with love, when prior to a marriage you were in love. And then when you get into the marriage and we don't realize we're into this business mode now, we don't even realize that's the energy that we're in, because everything that we've done to get into this position after the ceremony and things of that nature, we've already been into this business mode, that this is now a business, but we still call it love because we don't want to accept or even recognize that we are into a business thing. So we do things like this. The woman, she starts having sex with them and stuff like that. Now it becomes a negotiation. What's all this negotiation all of a sudden? We don't realize we're in the energy flow of a business set of mind. And then we're trying to rekindle our love, but we can't do it in the mind frame of the energy that we're in. So you have people that renew their vows and things like that, and when they renew their vows, they and you notice when they renew their vows, most of the time it's not a big wedding. It's just them two getting off to themselves and reminiscing about how it used to be. And then that right there kind of put things in perspective of like, and that's how people fall in love again, because they fell out of love, but they jumped out of love into a contractual love. So they had to get past that and get back into love again. And just and like I say, that certificate does not that's not a title to somebody else. That is not a deed to a house. That is not your ownership papers for that person. And once we realize that what it is, it gets a little bit better. But we have to realize that, and then we know it's pressure from everybody else. No, you got to get married because, you got to solidify yourself in the eyes of God. But that's the preacher who hired by the state to give us vows. And in that Bible, I ain't seen them vows yet. I don't know what he reading from.
I'm trying to tell you, those vows, according to Scripture, if we're going to deal with the Bible, which I know many of our listeners are coming from a Christian paradigm, if we're going to deal with the Bible, with biblical text, when a man had sex with a woman, he married her.
Exactly.
The Bible says that this one knew this one, and she was his wife. David knew Bathsheba, and she was his wife. Abraham knew Sarah, and she was his wife. So marriage has about as much to do with the legality of the state and, licenses and certificates and application fees and all that other stuff. It has about as much to do with that as it does with whether or not salmon swim upstream when they go mating. Like, it has nothing to do with it. I'm sitting here listening to you, and in my mind I'm remembering when Will Smith and Jada Pinkett got married. Okay. And one of the things that was so dynamic about their relationship is they said, we got married on the beach already, because, she was pregnant with Jaden when she got married, when they married. Okay. And she said, I got pregnant with Jaden the night I married Will. We married each other on the beach under the stars, and the moon was our witness, and the beach was our witness, and nature was our witness. We just having this ceremony for our families. And that struck me. That struck me because I can remember when I was in the church and I was engaged, and I was like, I don't understand this whole engagement thing. Am I his? Is he mine? Are we together or are we not? It's kind of this weird in between limbo. And for me, trying to quote unquote live right at the time, I'm trying to live saved and holy and sanctified. I'm trying not to get none from the man who I love and who I have already agreed to spend the rest of my life with. When he said, will you marry me, and gave me that ring, I said yes. The contract was entered into at that moment because the ring is a promissory note.
Bingo.
The ring is a promissory note. That's why when you break off an engagement, ladies, you are supposed to, by law, give it back. I know I'm giving this ring back, but you're supposed to give it back because it's a down payment. It's a down payment on something. And so, the marriage that we have to understand that when two people connect, and especially when they connect sexually, there is a marriage. Yes. Because we understand metaphysically that you cannot, that one thing cannot come in contact with another thing and they both remain the same. Once you come in contact with someone else's energy, you're both changed. And sometimes that is a marriage, and I think we get caught up in the language, Mr. Sapiosexual. I think we get caught up in the words. Yes. And so instead of saying love and marriage, we can talk about connection and commitment. Connection and commitment. And you realize that you're married to a lot of things in your life. You're not just married to your husband. You're married to your church. You're married to your beliefs. You're married to your schedule. You're married to your paycheck, because it's a commitment. You depend on those things, to deliver and bring something to the table. One of our very faithful listeners, Estinard 98. Hey girl, how you doing? See you in the chat room. Yeah. She is giving it to us. She said marriage ain't for everybody. It for sure is not the answer, and it does not feel, she said, it fills no void, solves no problems. Just because you get married doesn't mean that I love you more now that we are married than I did yesterday. You know, she said marriage brings expectations. Because we are married, I expect you to do this or to behave in a certain way. And, you know, she's talking about you know, how the expectations come because we have an inaccurate understanding of the purpose for the commitment that we call marriage. It is not just because we don't get married just because I really like you and you really like me. There has to be a bigger purpose for it.
Yes.
You know, and so we're going to listen to this song. We'll listen to some music, and when we come back, I want you to expound upon the purpose for commitment and the purpose for connection and commitment, what most people call love and marriage. All right, we're going to get into this song real quick. We're going to come back here on Mental Intercourse with Mr. Sapiosexual and myself, Miss Buttafly.
Friends with mental benefits.
That a girl like me never dreamed of. It never was for me, no, not really. But there was not a guy who was special enough until you came and made me so happy. Like a child on Christmas Day. I was so anticipating.
I had no
Welcome back. Welcome back. That was Love Saw It by Babyface and Karen White. One of my favorite slow jams. I absolutely love that song. I got to bring my co-host in. You there?
Oh, yes, I is.
Oh, yes, you is. All right.
Oh,
we are here on Mental Intercourse with your host, Miss Buttafly and Mr. Sapiosexual, and we are talking about love. And Mr. Sapiosexual has been just redefining for us love thing is. You know, what's love got to do with it is the topic of tonight's show. And, you know, the it that we're talking about is the state of African people specifically living here in America. What does love have to do with us? And you were breaking down for us before the break what the purpose of commitment, connection, love, marriage is, how we should be viewing this as melanated people living here in America. So why don't you go ahead and break that down for us some more?
Okay, and kind of piggyback off what you had said. You said something earlier that we get caught up into the wordplay of things. We don't truly know the definition of it. We're just operating off of what we think it is, and we never take the time. One of the first things I learned when coming into any type of knowledge, the first thing they told me to get was get a dictionary. It wasn't a Bible. It wasn't a book on Egyptology. It wasn't a book on crystals and metaphysics. They told me to get a dictionary, because I had to start redefining and looking up words that I've been using all my life. And when I went and started looking them up, I started realizing that I've been doing it wrong. It's just a simple thing. Even something with marriage. While we were talking about marriage, and see, when we see things as African people, we see things in symbols. This goes back to what the hieroglyphics on the. We did everything in symbol, and we see things in symbols. Even think about it when we're reading, we actually don't read the word. We recognize the word. We're not actually pronouncing the word. We just remember the word. That's how we read, and that's how we are. So what happens in this particular society, the dynamic society, they'll give us a term like we were talking about marriage, and what they'll do is they'll give us a picture. And we'll marry that word with that image, and that becomes our definition. Not the true definition, but they know that they understand how we operate. They understand how we do things, because everything they do came from us anyway. So they know. So what they did, they learned our system, they learned our ways, and they repackaged them and presented it back to us. Now, since we don't recognize that it comes from us, we follow theirs instead of following the original version. We just follow the copycat or the carbon copy of it. So even with marriage, you have the shows like the Bachelor, the Bachelorette, and stuff. You have what's that show with the women bridezillas that came out?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I've only heard about it. And so when we see marriage, this shapes our definition of marriage. Not the true definition that you would find in a dictionary or Wikipedia, anywhere like that. We define it about what we see. And since we watch more than we read, that becomes our truth. So even as we were talking here, I said, let me just look up marriage while I'm talking about it. I need to practice what I preach, right? So I went to, the quick one we all go to, Wikipedia. You know what I'm saying? It's not for research. It's just for a search, but it's a great place to start. Even Wikipedia says marriage is a social, ritual, recognized union or legal contract between spouses that establishes rights and obligations between them and their children, between them and their in-laws. They told us right there what marriage is. It is a legal contract. It is a socially or ritual recognized union. A socially recognized or ritual recognized union. Nothing to do with culture. Nothing to do with tradition. It is all about legal. So if we look at it in that terms, but when we look at it into the true definition of it, that means we have to get rid of all those images that keep flooding our brain cells that keep telling us otherwise. because we're like, no, that means that he loves me. And most of us want love so bad because we don't have it ourselves. We look forward for that false love because we don't have real love. So we'll accept something that's fake because we don't know what is real. So we'll indulge in that, and we'll operate off of that synthetic, off that GMO, as I said. We'll operate off of that instead of the organic of it. And basically, we're talking about taking terms and terminologies. You have what we call commitment and connection, what people call love and marriage today. The love is the connection, and the commitment is what we call marriage today. So we just remove the love and marriage part of it, and we just say commitment and connection. That's what it is. What does it mean to commit? What does it mean to connect with somebody? We make connections every single day. And we actually commit.
All day long.
All day long. We actually commit. Just because you're feeling me doesn't mean that we're supposed to have sex.
Right.
Just because we made a connection doesn't mean that automatically we're supposed to be having sex. Because there is something there greater than that, because everybody crosses paths for a reason. There's no accident. And it depends what level of awareness that we're in. We'll use that as an opportunity, as a feel-good, or to have sex. Now, not saying there's anything wrong with that, because it does happen that way. But we have to realize that everything is not like that, because I could be here just to give you an example of what it is. So when you do go back out and you get your confidence, you get your goddess back, when you go back out there, at least you'll know what it's not, and then you will have another example of what it is. And you'll know how to pursue that, and then by that time, your energy will change, so the laws of attraction will start bringing you in exactly what you need. You ain't got to go look for it, because you'll start attracting it. And you'll start being we'll stop being on the hunt, like we out there hunting. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what the clubs are. It is a hunting. It's a safari. We out there hunting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to spear me one. You know what I'm saying?
And it's an illusion.
Yes.
And it's an illusion, because that's what the illusion is. I mean, how can you find love in a place where you can't even see what someone really looks like?
Or even hear their mind.
How can you, you mentioned the clubs, and it just, where the music is so loud you can't hear, the lights are flashing, you can't see, drinks are pouring everywhere, so you can't think clearly. You're in an altered state.
Yes.
You're in a hyper-excited state, and you're talking about you trying to find somebody to love, when in reality what you are doing is running away from the love of yourself. You can't tell me that you feel that when you feel like completely whole and in tune with yourself and your self-love is flowing, the last place you want to be is a freaking nightclub. It's the last place you want to go. I don't want to go to a club. I don't want to go to I've been to the club already, and I know that you don't find love in the club. You find trouble in the club. I know Usher said we're going to love in this club.